So in 2005, Mick Healy, who's done a lot of work in this area about thinking about linking research into curriculum design, okay? So that's just his reference. But his idea was that, I'll talk you through these because there's a lot that ends up on this slide, so it's not very easy to see. But the fact that research and teaching can be sort of distributed according to this framework. And the broad axes are, the y-axis is thinking about the sort of the student-centred. So here at the top we've got very student-focused, student-centred, and students are participating. And on this end it's very teachers-focused, okay, so it's about what I'm telling you about research, and students are the audience. And then going across the x-axis is taking us from this idea that the emphasis is on the research content, the actual outputs of research, and over here is on the emphasis on the research process. How do you find solutions to problems? So we can just go through those 4 squares of that to explain what they mean in a little bit more detail. So in terms of research-led, this is the idea that in your teaching you include some of the latest thinking, whether from your own research or from research that's going on in the field at the moment. But that just informs the content of what you're delivering. So it's still very much a delivery-focused way of thinking about research. So you sort of think about what are the current findings, what's the current areas of research in your discipline, and you are telling students about it. Okay. And then down here we've got this sort of research oriented, okay, and here it's still very teacher orientated, but you're focusing more on the process of research. And now here we're telling students these are the methods that you need to use to become an economist, to become a biologist, to become an engineer. So it's very much you're telling the students, and they do develop their techniques. They have the opportunity to practice those techniques, okay. But it's still very kind of teacher-led. This is a process, and you follow through the recipe of steps, whether it's a statistical analysis, whether it's an experiment in the laboratory. Okay. And then moving up to the sort of student-focused end, research-based element of this is that students are actually learning through research and inquiry. So they are the producers of knowledge, okay? So they are generating new information about the discipline. And this can be, you know, in a traditional research environment, but it can also be in problem-based or inquiry-based learning, where they're exploring a problem for a new time. It could even be exploring a case study for a new time. And then over here, the research tutored, where students are actually engaging in research discussions. So some of the ideas can be seminars where students are sort of talking about a specific idea that they've researched or they've read about, or it could be a kind of a journal club type approach where you read a paper, you know, as a small group and discuss what that paper means. So this is sort of research tutored, so students are engaging in those research discussions, but they're not actually generating new knowledge themselves, okay? But they're very much actively participating in and around that research. So does anybody have any questions about those 4 elements of the diagram, what they mean in practice? Okay, so what I want you to do, I'm going to bring that model back up, but what I want you to do, again, just work in groups, but you can put your own individual ideas onto that, is to draw that framework out and add onto that what your current teaching is and where it fits in that diagram. Okay? Once you've done that, we'll then think about, is there any need or benefit of moving something to a different quadrant. Okay? So you can think about, you know, the course materials, reading this, all the information that you give to students. You can think about your face-to-face interactions with them. Are they just about you telling them about research, or are they about them thinking about it for themselves? Any kind of assessment and feedback processes that you're involved with, okay? So you can think about all the things that you do in terms of teaching and learning and assessment, and then try to map them onto this model, okay? So just draw a quadrant on the paper and add what you're doing into where it fits into this research teaching model, okay? So again, if you want to work in different groups, that's fine. This sort of lends itself to having a big piece of flip chart paper or working on the whiteboard. So find yourself some space, some pens and some paper. Go. You lot are great. When I tell you to start working, you're all really quiet. When I tell you to shush and listen, you're all really noisy. I'm stunned into silence. Okay, right. I just want to go around. I just want to go around each group. I don't want to have a whole go through your whole map, okay? Because we don't have time to go through everybody's map. But just if somebody wants to comment on the or reflect on the discussions that they had about where their practice fits in this diagram. So did your conversation say, well, actually, we're all predominantly sitting down here or up here or what have you? So just have a moment to think about where was your discussion going? What do you think the feeling in your group was about where your research sits? So I'll just give you 15 seconds to decide who's going to speak in your group, and think about what it is that you're going to say, or maybe I'll give you a minute, okay? So feedback I want from you is, where did that discussion take you? Where do you think your practice sits as a group, okay? So you don't have to go through every little thing that you do, but just a kind of reflection, okay? So if anybody feels ready to feedback, put their hand up. Okay, anybody ready to feedback? Let's start with you guys then, okay? What was just a flavour of what you thought of that exercise, or how useful, where your practice is?
Yes. I think there are two areas of sport and research.
Uh-huh.
There are like research, professional research,
Okay.
we are discussing that.
Right. Okay. So you're still kind of differentiating between yourselves and the research that your students do. Okay, that's great. Thank you. You guys over there. Yes, you.
I think there are several dimensions to the research that is done.
Uh-huh.
Because we kind of give them a timeline so that they have an insight as to what kind of approaches are being applied to the state, and maybe make a comparison between a certain approach or method adopted at a certain time in the history of English language teaching.
Right. Okay.
So it's kind of an inquiry-based research.
Uh-huh.
Every student is assigned a certain approach and is asked to present it in the classroom environment.
Okay. And what stage of the degree are they doing that? Are they doing that in the first year, second year?
First year.
Okay.
Yeah, so they kind of have to get an idea of the background knowledge.
Yeah.
They also have internships, so I think it falls into the category of research-oriented.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Where they're actually generating information themselves. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's really interesting. What's coming out of that is that this idea that you can move from learning about research methods or what have you in maybe quite a teacher-focused way in the first year or second year, and you need to kind of do that so that students can progress to actually doing research themselves as they go through their degree program. The dentists, anything from you guys?
We generally focused on research-based.
Okay.
We want our students to literature review first, then reading articles and books, and current research. We want them to search the current research topics, and then they choose a topic, and then make hypothesis and detailed literature review, and then material and methods. They
Yes, to develop their methods. Yeah.
the material and methods.
Okay, so are they doing all of that sort of stuff in the final year? What are they doing earlier on in the program? In the last year. Okay. So again, it's this idea that many degree programs have a capstone project where you're doing research in the final year. So you're up in that top right-hand quadrant. But how do we develop the skills to get them there? That's the parts that need to be in the first and second and third, first and second year of the course. You guys, any ideas from your table?
In our program, we have academic orientation and
Yes.
also for the job orientation.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so we are giving them like how to make a literature review. We are teaching them, and also we are organizing library visits and how to use the databases and how to read books, how to read.
Yes, and all of that has to come in the first and second year. Yeah. So that yes.
Right. And how to evaluate them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the first and second year,
in the first and
yes.
second year and third year, we have these lessons. We are preparing them to use
Be able to do
these
their own
tools.
research. Yeah.
Then at the fifth year, we are giving them projects.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's that idea, just taking through all the way through. So unless they're doing some of these things in the first and second year, they're not going to be able to get to that stage. You guys at the front.
Maybe the same logic here, because the upper right quadrant, when you move up to do maybe fourth year, in undergraduates, you have more research-based teaching methodology, or we should at least, because we think that students maybe might be more integrated with research, not alienated from that by going into the field.
Yes.
And doing interviews, and our professors also do that. And there is also a thesis
Yes.
by which you finished the school. So I think we're teaching, but mostly our common denominator is our curriculum is research-led. But when we move to the upper left quadrant,
Yeah.
that's for PhDs and graduates mostly.
Yes.